The story of Chicago's L began on a summer day. It was June 6, 1892. The Chicago and South Side Rapid Transit Railroad made its first revenue run. A small steam locomotive chugged along, pulling 4 wooden coaches. Inside, more than 24 passengers experienced this new form of travel. They journeyed from 39th Street to the Congress Street terminal. The trip was remarkably quick for its time, taking only 14 minutes. These pioneering tracks laid the foundation for what would become the Green Line, a vital artery in the city's transit network still used today. This initial journey marked a significant step forward for public transportation in the rapidly growing metropolis. The new elevated line quickly proved its worth and expanded. By 1893, service on the South Side line extended further south. It reached 63rd Street and Stony Island Avenue. This expansion was crucial. It provided transportation for the many visitors attending the World's Columbian Exposition. The fair was held in Jackson Park that year, showcasing innovations from around the globe. In the same year, another elevated line started operations. The Lake Street Elevated Railroad began serving passengers, initially also using steam power. It connected Laramie Avenue on the west side to the edge of downtown Chicago, further weaving the fabric of the city's transit system. A major technological leap occurred in 1895. The Metropolitan West Side Elevated began its services. This system was different from its predecessors. It featured several lines branching out from downtown. These lines reached Douglas Park, Garfield Park, Humboldt Park, and Logan Square. More importantly, it was the United States' first non-exhibition rapid transit system powered by electric traction motors. This advanced technology had been impressively demonstrated at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition on the Intramural Railway. The adoption of electric power signaled a cleaner and more efficient future for urban rail travel, setting a new standard. Around the same period, between 1895 and 1897, another key innovation was introduced. The South Side L adopted multiple-unit MU control. This system allowed a single operator to control all the motorized cars in a train. This meant trains could be longer and run more efficiently. It also improved acceleration and braking. Together, electrification and MU control became global standards for rapid transit systems. Chicago was at the forefront of these advancements. These developments were not just local improvements. They influenced how cities worldwide would build and operate their own urban rail networks for decades to come. Early L lines faced a significant challenge. They could not directly enter Chicago's central business district. A state law required property owner approval for tracks built over public streets. This made downtown access difficult to achieve. However, the ambitious traction magnate Charles Tyson Yerkes found a way to overcome this obstacle. He secured a franchise for a crucial mile-long elevated track over Van Buren Street. This stretch ran from Wabash Avenue to Halsted Street. Yerkes, who also played a significant role in developing the London Underground, was instrumental in shaping Chicago's transit landscape, ensuring the L could serve the city's core effectively. The efforts of Charles Yerkes culminated in a transformative development. The Union Loop opened in 1897. This elevated ring of tracks encircled the central business district. It allowed trains from various lines to converge and provide direct access to downtown Chicago. The loop significantly improved the convenience of rapid transit for daily commuters and shoppers alike. Ridership soared as the system became more interconnected and user-friendly. In 1900, the Yerkes-owned Northwestern Elevated Railroad began operating. It added North Side L lines, largely completing the core elevated infrastructure that would define Chicago's downtown for over a century, though extensions continued into the 1920s. After 1911, a new influential figure emerged in the L's history, Samuel Insull. As president of Chicago Edison, the city's electric utility, Insull initially became involved with the L lines because the trains were the largest single consumer of electricity. He saw an opportunity to improve and consolidate the system. Insull introduced important service enhancements. These included free transfers between different L lines, making travel more affordable and seamless for passengers. He also implemented through routing, allowing trains to run from one side of the city to the other without requiring passengers to change trains in the loop, a significant convenience. Under Samuel Insull's leadership, the fragmented L system moved towards unification. In 1924, he formally combined the original operating firms into a single entity, the Chicago Rapid Transit Company, CRT. This consolidation streamlined operations and management. Insull's ambitions extended beyond the city's elevated lines. He also acquired 3 interurban electrified railroads, the Chicago North Shore and Milwaukee Railroad, the Chicago Aurora and Elgin Railroad, and the South Shore Line. He ingeniously arranged for the first 2 of these interurban lines to run their trains into downtown Chicago using the L tracks, further expanding the reach and utility of the elevated system for regional commuters. The era of private consolidation under Samuel Insull eventually faced challenges. His vast utility empire, including the Chicago Rapid Transit Company, collapsed in 1932 during the Great Depression. This event marked a turning point for the L. By the late 1930s, the city of Chicago, with crucial financial aid from the federal government, began planning a new phase of transit development. This involved constructing 2 subway lines. One motivation for building subways was to supplement the loop elevated. Some city leaders since the 1920s had viewed the elevated structure as ugly and noisy, hoping to eventually replace parts of it with underground lines. The first of these new underground routes became a reality during World War II. The State Street subway officially opened to the public on October 17, 1943. This was a significant milestone, taking L trains beneath the bustling streets of downtown for the first time. The construction of the subway was a major engineering feat. It was also designed with an additional purpose in mind. The tunnels could serve as bomb shelters if needed during wartime. The subway provided a more direct route for north-south trains, bypassing some of the loop's tight curves and offering a slightly faster journey through the central business district. Construction on the second planned subway, the Dearborn subway, faced delays. The outbreak of World War II led to a suspension of non-essential construction projects, including parts of the subway. As a result, the Dearborn subway did not open until February 25, 1951, several years after the war ended. Like the State Street subway, the Dearborn line offered operational advantages. By running underground, trains could bypass the tight curves of the elevated loop structure. This allowed for faster and smoother service, particularly for trains heading to the west side. The subways represented a significant investment in modernizing Chicago's transit infrastructure. By the 1940s, the financial condition of the privately owned Chicago Rapid Transit Company had deteriorated significantly. It became clear that a public takeover was necessary to ensure the continued operation and improvement of the vital L system. In 1947, the Illinois State Legislature created the Chicago Transit Authority, CTA. This new public agency was tasked with acquiring and operating the assets of the Chicago Rapid Transit Company. The CTA also took over the Chicago surface lines, which operated the city's extensive streetcar network. This consolidation under public ownership set the stage for a new era of modernization and development for Chicago's public transportation. Immediately after its formation in 1947, the Chicago Transit Authority embarked on an ambitious modernization program for the L. One of the first priorities was to replace the aging fleet of wooden passenger cars. New, safer steel cars were gradually introduced across the system. The CTA also streamlined operations by closing lightly used branch lines and stations. Many of these stations were built very close together, sometimes only a quarter-mile apart, a relic of earlier transit development. Technological improvements continued with the introduction of the first air-conditioned L cars in 1964, offering much-needed comfort during Chicago's hot summers. The last pre-war World War II cars were finally retired from service in 1973. The CTA also focused on expanding the L system into new areas, often utilizing innovative rights-of-way. New lines were constructed in the medians of newly built expressways. The Congress branch, now part of the Blue Line, opened in 1958 in the median of the Eisenhower Expressway, replacing the older Garfield Park L. This was followed by the Dan Ryan branch, now part of the Red Line, which opened on September 28, 1969 in the Dan Ryan Expressway median. Later, the Milwaukee elevated Blue Line was extended into the median of the Kennedy Expressway. Crucially, the L connected Chicago to its airport service to O'Hare International Airport began in 1984 and to Midway International Airport in 1993. To improve travel times, the CTA introduced AB skip-stop service. This system debuted on the Lake Street Elevated in 1948. Under skip-stop, stations were designated as A stations, B stations, or AB stations, where all trains stopped. Trains would only serve A and AB stations, while B trains served B and AB stations. Station signage was often color-coded to help passengers. This innovative approach reportedly cut travel times by as much as a third on some routes. By the 1950s, skip-stop service was used system-wide, with a few exceptions like the Evanston and Skokie lines, helping to speed up longer journeys across the city. However, the skip-stop system was not without its drawbacks. By the 1990s, its effectiveness was being questioned. Increased wait times during non-peak hours became a concern for passengers at A or B only stations. The inability of skipping trains to pass trains ahead of them also limited its benefits. Consequently, the CTA began phasing out skip-stop service in 1993. The last AB skip-stop service was eliminated in April 1995. The 1990s also brought other significant changes. In 1993, the CTA officially renamed all its rail lines using a color-coded system. Finally, in 1997, the CTA introduced fare cards, a major step in modernizing fare collection and concluding a century of remarkable evolution for Chicago's L, a true icon of urban transit.